Hi, everybody. I've got Tamara from Huntsville, Alabama, and Mark from Syracuse, New York, here to talk about the real estate market and all the fun and trials and tribulations that we are learning in this ever changing 2023 market. So, very good. So, thank you guys for joining me.
Thanks for having
Thank you, Jennifer. This is great.
Yes, awesome. And so we were talking a little bit before we got started, and we were talking, Tamara was talking about her interpretation of what's happening and how that's affecting her clients. Do you want to tell me what you had just said?
So right now we're kind of back to real estate. That's what I'm going to call it. We are able to show more than one house to a buyer, which is great. They're having a little bit of time to think about the houses that they've seen and maybe even sleep on it, which is amazing, before they go to make an offer on things. But that's not to say that this market still isn't very healthy because I'm still seeing some multiple offers in some price segments. So it's a little all over the place. I think it's always true that the good houses are always going to go quick, and if they're priced right.
100%. And what are you seeing in New York, Mark?
So it's interesting that we have our days on market is up by about 4 days, but our inventory is so low that buyers just aren't coming out. There's nothing to look. In some markets, like I narrow it down to like a zip code where I am, there's like 2 houses on the market
Oh, holy cow.
in my whole zip code.
So, what's your demographics? How many people in that zip code, roughly? I mean, are we talking?
Uh,
And
yeah,
that's like just, I'm saying, like, is it small? Like, I don't know much about New York.
no, it's where I am and in my particular zip code, not the county. It's a good sized demographic, but for some reason houses don't stay long here. I think actually the other day there was one on Friday, one listing to look at. I just listed one last month and it was on the market for 24 hours.
Wow,
So
so
we're
you're
still seeing multiple offers, 10 offers. There was a house last week that had 23 offers on it here.
wow.
Whew.
Yeah,
So
I do think it's price and the house. So our average price point here in Wilmington is 400,000, and I got one under contract last week for 1.4 million. That is well over what our normal is. They had 12 offers on the table, but it had intercoastal views. It had a boat slip. It had a boat dock. And that is super hard to come by. And so it was that special commodity. House was built in the 70s and had been gutted, and it was beautiful. Outside of the water views, it would have been a $400,000 house. But with those views and the boat slip, definitely drove the price up. But they had 12 offers on it. So we're seeing that too. So Mark, what do you, if you don't know the number, a lot of agents I have found don't. It's not your MLS, so I'm just putting it out there. Do you know what the absorption rate is?
We have 1.1 month worth of inventory.
Oh, so you're definitely still in the seller's market.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah. If the house is any like I was just working with a client from downstate who's moving this way, and he's not really understanding. He's like, let's go in 20,000 under asking. I'm like, it's been on the market for 2 days and they've got 38 showings and already multiple offers. So there's not a chance.
yeah.
Not really understanding when you're in another market and you're moving to this one here, you're not really grasping the fact that nothing's lasting or nothing's staying on the market. If it's anything that's decent, I mean, if it's staged right, priced right, the house is gone in 2 days.
Yep, that's right. So it's interesting. So again, just for the general public out there, absorption rate, what I meant by that is how many houses are currently listed that if nothing else got listed, how long before there'd be no other houses left to sell. So he's at right at 1 month. We're at right at 2 months, 1.9. So not quite 2, but close to it. But they say the balance market is between 4 and 6 months of inventory when it's balanced between buyers and sellers. So we're still seeing a seller's market. And what about you, sorry, Tamara?
That's okay. So for us, Madison County, we're at 2.3 months.
So
we're
you're
inching
still,
up there,
yeah,
but
but you're
we're
still in the seller's market.
in a seller's market, but it's becoming just more buyers. It's steady. It's steady.
That's awesome. So I need to do a quick shout out to my friend Esther, Salt Lake City, Esther. And I'm doing a shout out because I called her yesterday just to ask her hey and how she was doing, a check in with her before R4. And she, by 2 o'clock in the morning, I had gotten this beautiful name for the podcast, which is Mind Over Market.
Ooh,
Don't y'all like it? It's kind
I
of
like it.
sharp. And
I like
she even did I don't know what you would call it, like a board for it. So I didn't have a chance to post that yet. But anyway, I told her I would give her a shout out because she's much more than a realtor. Apparently she's a marketing expert too. So fabulous. But back to us. I told her I would give her a shout out.
That's a great name.
She is amazing. That is a good name.
Yes. Yeah. Wasn't that kind of fun?
Yeah,
I did. I'm trying to figure out for something, and a couple of the ones I watch are like between two lock boxes. I mean, they have really catchy names, and I'm like, oh, I'm just not that smart. But anyway, I liked Mind Over Market. But anyway, so Tamara, so you were saying you're right at a little bit more than 2 months. So you're still in the seller's market. You have a little bit more inventory than Mark and I do. Mark has less than what I do. What are you seeing with the prices?
So prices, we are seeing that the average sales price has declined.
Mm-hmm.
But it's up from last year, same time last year, but it's declined from like December timeframe, which lends itself to more days on market, really, because I think people are trying to come to terms with the new market, with the higher interest rates, with, not having the multiple offers, all those things. Sellers are coming to the realization that they might have to do some concessions now. Is it going to be a buy down? There's just more negotiations out there, which is great for a healthy market, in my opinion.
I 100% agree. And I think it's really interesting when you listen to the news media, they're talking month over month when they're talking about real estate prices. But really, if you look at January, at least in my area, if you look at January of 2022 versus January of 2023, January of 2022, our average prices were $375. Today, they're $425. If you look at it from December, it was a little bit higher in December. So if you look month after month, it has gone down a little bit. But if you look at a year over year, it's continually going up in price.
That's right.
And what do you see, Mark, with your prices?
Still going up. Yeah, we're about 13, almost 14% over last year. And even from December, it's up. So average price, the median price point went from 180, a little over 180 to 192. And then the sales price went from a little over 213 to 242.
Wow. So our prices from last year median, we're up 8% from last. Now you said you're up how much? What percentage?
On the median side, it's only 7%, just under 7%. But on the sales side of the sales price side of it, 13.9.
Wow, that's awesome. And Tamara, have you looked at your prices? Have they, since if you look at
yes, from last year, our average sales price increased by 2.9%, and then our median is up 0.6.
Okay.
So
you're starting to see yours sort of level off some.
Level out. Exactly.
Yeah, that's good, which is an indication with the amount of inventory you have. It seems like you're getting like to a nice, good, healthy place.
Correct.
I think that's where real estate's more fun. I think it's more fun for a buyer. I think it's more fun for a seller. When you have it that way. Hey, Sia. I think it's a super hard market when you're in a race to get to the house, to see the house, and there's a line of cars out there, and you cannot type up the offer fast enough before it's already under contract. That is certainly not fun. And it's interesting because I said it's not fun for sellers either. And I had a lot of buyers challenge me as to why it's not fun for sellers. But, you present a seller with 12 offers and the seller doesn't know what to do. And the seller's super worried that they're going to make a mistake. What if they choose this number and there's just, as y'all know, there's a lot of variables in real estate, a lot of things that can go wrong and that do potentially go wrong. And then knowing which one of these offers and scared that you're going to make a mistake could be stressful too.
I think of it like
mitigating risk.
Like when you're out there showing 4 houses, you can remember what you saw from house 1 to 4. You show somebody 8 and they can't remember it, right? So when you're showing them offers and you're doing your due diligence for the seller, you're presenting every offer. They can't remember when they hit 8 what the first offer was. It's very confusing and it's tiring, exhausting for them. They have to vacate their home for days at a time versus only a couple showings here or there.
That's right. You got to keep it clean. You got to keep it freshened. You've got to keep everything perfect, and it's stressful. It's funny. I had been in the same house for like 15 years, and then because of divorce, I had to sell a house, which was fine. But I had not been on the listing side of a personal property in a long time, and I became a worse seller. I mean, I was like, what do you mean? My house is definitely the best one in the neighborhood, and my yard's definitely the biggest one in the neighborhood. It's interesting when you're on the other side of it because it is stressful.
I think we're our own worst agents. Sometimes I think I just need to hire somebody the next time I move because I'm not good at it either for myself. It's hard.
When you're
It's very
emotionally
hard.
attached, it is hard. So
Mhm.
the next house that I just sold like 2 years ago, that was super easy. I had found a house and I had called a buyer and I said, hey, listen, I think the house that you want's mine. Do you want to come and look at it? And they did, and I sold it to them, and it was done. It was pretty easy. It was harmless, and what's a little bit more painful is when I go by there and visit them because I'm like, I forgot how much I love that kitchen, or I forgot that I added this that I loved. But anyway,
Yeah.
so overall, what is the public saying, Tamara? What are your clients? What's the general outreach of the people that you're talking to? Are they concerned about interest rates? Are they not? Are they?
I think they're all coming to grips with it. I think they understand where we are in this market. We're not going to see those historically low rates that we saw before. Like people are moving forward, they're understanding. I think we all have to understand too that rent is 100% interest 100% of the time. And these numbers that we've kind of been talking about show that appreciation is going to continue. It's not going to continue at the rate that it was, but we're still seeing appreciation. So own something that you can have your appreciation in and refinance later. That's the story that a lot of my people are just telling back to me.
I 100% agree, and I think about um, two stories in particular, but one, my 10 years ago, actually had a client just came in the other day that visited me that we've now sold 4 houses. But 10 years ago, she was a first-time home buyer, and she and her boyfriend bought a house. And 7 years after that, they sold it, and they had $150,000 in equity. And and they were all of 26, 27 years old. There's no way that with the jobs that they had that they would have that much money in the bank before 30 years old to put down on their second house. So to me, buying a house is a way to give you generational wealth. And to your point, when you pay $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month rent, that is $2,000 a month that you will never see again. It is just throwing it out the window. Whereas even if you have high interest rates, you're putting that money in the bank and you will, get it out later when you go to sell, provided that the market keeps going. But it's rare that people lose money in, I'm not saying in flipping, but I'm talking about when they buy a house. What are your people saying, Mark?
Yes.
Well, it's interesting. A story, I had somebody who was renting, he's my neighbor, and tried to get him, he had grown up in our youth program. And I just kept saying, you're crazy. You're paying $1,500 a month for rent. Now it's going to $1,600 a month. And there's this little place in the village here. And when interest rates were at 3%, I go, come on. I go, your rents, then his rents were going to go, it's like, our rents are going up to $2,000 a month or something. I'm like, so I just want you to think about this. Why don't you pack, because I know he likes to stuff money under the mattress kind of a guy. I'm like, why don't you just take $24,000 and put it in the bag, and I want you to go barreling down the highway and open your window and just let it fly.
It just dawned on me, Mark. $2,000 a month rent, which is pretty standard for around here as well. Um, on average, in 4 years, that's close to $100,000.
Yeah. Well, it's
Holy
interesting.
cow!
He didn't quite get. He the missed the boat when it came to, the sub five. Well, actually, I think he is, but he's paying less than what he was going to be paying in rents. And then once he's gotten to the house, he's like, I can't believe I wasted 2 years. He kept hounding me about purchasing the house. And I'm like, and you missed the opportunity of a lifetime at that interest rate. Now, I think the biggest thing here is people are seeing the interest rate, especially if you're working with somebody who is, just in that last 10 years and they don't know anything different, right? So I know my parents bought a house. Telling me they were
18% in the 80s.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, this is a normal rate. Now the problem is they want to spend, if they're approved to 400 or 450 to buy a house, now they're only able to purchase at 375 or 380. And that's changed. And they're not correct. They're still looking at those houses, but they can't be competitive now.
So have either one of you done anything, and I have not, I have in the past, but not in the past 10 years, in assumable mortgages or assumable loans?
There are a lot of VA assumable loans here. I've had a couple clients look at it. It just wasn't financially right for them to do it right now because there's still a gap in between that, what they owe, what they can assume at versus what they need to make up that gap with. So that's been the most difficult thing so far.
Yeah, I haven't done them yet. I was talking, and Tamara, you and I were at that same conference in Atlanta, and Lee Brown, I was listening to her talk, and one of the agents in the room said that one of her clients had saved $920 a month. So I do think that there are programs out there, and they're not right for everybody. That's why you need a really good, experienced realtor that has years and has sold a lot of homes that can help you decide what is the best option. And a lot of lenders don't know about assumable loans because let's be clear, you have to assume the loan that's in place with whatever bank is being currently used. So a lot of these lenders, they don't get paid on those. So when you ask them about them, they're not giving you great advice on that. So you need an agent, and I'm certainly not a lender, and I don't pretend to be a lender, but I know enough and know enough of the right questions to ask and enough of the people and how to climb that hierarchy to get the right answers, which I'm sure you guys both do too, with your level of experience.
I just picked up a new client last week, well, maybe a few weeks ago, and she just asked me about that. She was, I think our mortgage is an assumable mortgage. And I said, really? And because, in my short real estate experience, I've not dealt with it, and
well, most people haven't. To be clear, I mean, 15 years ago or so is when people were doing assumable mortgages. So I haven't done one.
But it might be a nice perk for them in the sale of their home.
Yes, absolutely. So I did pick up a couple of good tidbits from Lee, and I don't know enough, but I can help you when we get off of this as far as how to figure out if it's assumable. And it has to be a loan since 2013. I think the year 2013, things changed. And you look on the deed or on the, we can go through my notes when we're done with this, and we can talk about assumable mortgages. And I can tell you just enough to confuse the hell out of you, but I do have resources that can help.
Just enough to be dangerous, right?
Just enough to be dangerous. But Lee was nice enough to give out some really good not emails, but some websites and some resources that I can certainly pass on to you guys.
Yeah, sure.
And then anything up and wrapping it up, what's the takeaway, Tamara? What's the takeaway for Huntsville, Alabama?
The takeaway is that real estate is local. Don't listen to the national news. It's not doom and gloom. It's a great market. Talk to a local real estate agent. Get that experienced agent under your belt. Have them by your side. you're going to be okay. This market is okay.
100%, 100%. And when you go to interview an agent, I've got some questions that you should ask all agents because it's super important to know how many homes they've closed, how many first-time home buyers, how many luxury. It just depends on what kind of person you are and which level you are. But you want to make sure that they are experienced so that they can best help you, because I promise you, not all agents are created equal.
No.
That's a true story.
That's really true. And Jason, I think he's agreeing with that one too. What were you going to say, Mark?
No, I think telling people like rates aren't coming down. You're not going to see sub 5 again, especially not 3 probably. And the market's not crashing. If I hear that one more time, and every time I hear it's now a buyer's market, I'm like, not here in Syracuse. We have less inventory than we did a year ago. Ironically, I was out last month for surgery, and hardly any of my clients were asking to see homes. I had coverage set up for everybody, and there was just no inventory to see. So
nothing there to see.
Yeah, it's not changing.
Yeah, it's and if one more person tries to compare, and I was in the market in 2007. That's actually the year I started. And if anybody tries to compare it to 2008, 9, 10, it's totally different. Because then when I would go on a listing appointment, the average days on the market was 9 to 12 months. Inventory was 18, like talking about absorption rate, 18 months absorption rate. It's unheard of. Now we're at 1.9 months. Mark's at 1 month. Tamara, you're at 3 months. It's a totally, it's I don't know what COVID did, but I mean, the market, and it's shifted and pivoted more times in 12 months than I've seen in 16 years. So that goes back to getting an agent that knows what they're doing.
Absolutely. 100%.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Mark. It's always a pleasure seeing you. I never get to see you enough.
I know.
It's your Zoom meeting the other day, so that was good.
It's good to see you outside of our monthly mastermind call. I like that.
Well, I was very thankful that you sent me an email and reminded me about the Zoom meeting because I had forgotten. But I jumped on it because you said thank you. Wonderful. It's always good seeing you guys, and thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jennifer. This was great.
Yeah, and see, nothing to be nervous about, right? Give it a thumbs up.
Right?
Not at all.
Thumbs up.
Okay, awesome. Well, I will talk to y'all later, and I'll see you next week, Tamara.
Yes.
Awesome.
Great.
Y'all have a great evening.
Bye-bye.